Now, Nintendo became a giant in the gaming scene by creating the best 2D side-scroller adventure games, which even featured Italians. Throughout the years, they made more and more, making hit after hit. Super Mario Bros. 3? Boom! 18 million sales. Super Mario World? Bingo! 20 million sales. And this went on. And so they became a god among the smaller gaming companies, taking over everything in the industry during the 80s and 90s. Even when they stopped making those games and made them return years later, they were a huge success. No matter the time period or console, Nintendo has always made heaps of money off those quite simple 2D bangers. However, at some point they came up with a game in that classic style, which is absolutely great for the fans, but not really for Nintendo. The game was Super Mario Maker, which had an amazing concept and was certainly a legendary title. But it will also end the reign of all 2D Mario games. So let's find out what's gonna happen and what kind of impact it has on the series. Back in the year 2014, Nintendo showed off Super Mario Maker at E3. It's a game creator application for the Wii U which allows you to insert blocks, enemies, items and more from the Super Mario Bros. Series to create and share levels. When this came out, it was a huge hit on the Wii U, even though it was one of the worst selling consoles in the history of the company. They ended up selling about 4 million copies of it, even though the console only had a total of 13.5 million sales. So really, for the amount of consoles out there, it was a huge success, and rightfully so, because it was a genius idea. However, it also had certain side effects that I want to talk about now that the Nintendo Switch is getting its own version of the game, which is a sequel to the first. Because this time it's a better console, and also one that will actually sell a considerable amount, unlike the Wii U. So let's touch upon a few points in order to get an idea what kind of impact this will have on the games they're gonna make, and their future plans with Super Mario Maker. One quite sad, but 100% true side effect of the Super Mario Maker series is that the new Super Mario Bros. Games become kind of useless. This was already seen when they released the first one for the Wii U, because that console also had a new Super Mario Bros. Game.
But Wily, that game sold more than 5 million copies, which is pretty nuts when you think about it. They didn't sell that many Wii U's after all.
Well, I mean, that's true, but you have to keep in mind one thing. Nintendo kind of tricked us all into buying that game. That's because New Super Mario Bros. U was released extremely early. It was a launch game for the console, so obviously a ton of people bought it with their Wii U. So I bet a ton of those sales were from the launch, because that was the only time when the Wii U actually performed well. And then, around 2 years later, Nintendo came around the corner with Super Mario Maker, long after the release of the new Super Mario Bros. Game. So by that time they already made their money on it, and only then did this new level maker game appear on the market. They even did this again with the Nintendo Switch. First they re-released the Wii U title as a deluxe port with all the DLC and whatnot. And then, after selling that one for a while, they came around the corner with Super Mario Maker 2 for the Switch, which would make any other 2D Mario title pretty useless. You gotta remember, after all, in that game you can make your own levels to enjoy or even play any of the others made by the community. There's an infinite amount of content and even more modes to enjoy. So really, Super Mario Maker games will always beat any other normal 2D side-scroller Mario game. The only way Nintendo can pull it off nowadays is by releasing a normal game first, and after that has made enough money, they will bring out the Maker game, since that basically kills all the sales of the other. So no matter what they do, the old style games just won't work anymore as soon as a new Maker game hits the scene, killing the 2D side-scroller games for that generation at least. Even if they decided to make more of those classic games, they would run into a massive problem: the fan creations. Because thanks to all those levels created by the users, the developers don't have that many options anymore. Almost everything you could ever think of has already been made by the community. So there isn't much left to put in a new title unless you make all kinds of new assets and enemies for it. So in general, the Super Mario Maker games just make new Super Mario Bros. Games quite useless. You can make any levels you want and even more styles, there is an infinite amount of content, and the whole online aspect adds a ton to it as well. For example, I see no reason at all to buy new Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. Might as well wait a week or two for the new Maker game so I can enjoy that for hundreds of hours. But what kind of impact will this have on Nintendo? Well, like I said before, the 2D side-scroller games made them big and were even in modern times huge hits. Well, one thing is certain, if they don't replace it with something else, then a gigantic part of their monthly revenue will be gone. Take New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe for example. This isn't the most popular game in the series by a long shot. It's a port after all. But still, it sold more than 34,000 copies in a week back in February of this year. Take that number and multiply it by, let's say 50, since the average price may vary. We end up with over $1.7 million, which is a lot as you can imagine, and remember, we're talking about 1 week. So how will Nintendo cope with the loss of one of their best-selling franchises? The Super Mario Maker sales can't carry all that weight on their own after all. The sales in that specific department will most likely stagnate. Sure, their funny little builder game will do well, but in the past they usually had multiple titles like these on the market, so they will lose out on some revenue in the end. So how will they solve this problem then? Well, there are a couple of ways they're gonna make more money off the new Super Mario Maker. We've already seen one of those even. The whole online aspect, which isn't free anymore, and is also a huge part of this game. Almost all the features this game has to offer require internet, and Nintendo added even more to it, making the online experience crucial. Nintendo even bundles the game with their online service to hook you. So clearly this must be a part of their big plan to make a ton of money on this game. Sure, it's not a whole lot, but still, if a lot of players buy a 1-year plan, which is $20, it will certainly add up. But this isn't all, because there's another way for them to make money. Good old DLC, which is both a gift and a curse for us consumers. And we've even seen a potential sneak peek for all of this in one of the recent directs they held. Here they showed off a lot of new things coming to the game, but when they were browsing the game style section, you could see something interesting. Because in the section where we see the new Super Mario 3D World style, we can also see an empty space. And it even says extra game styles, implying that there are more. Now, something like this could be used to put in some DLC to make up for that lost revenue of basically destroying the 2D side-scroller cash cow. However, it doesn't end here. They could do the same thing with stuff like asset packs and even single-player campaigns made by Nintendo developers. A ton of things are possible for them and would certainly help them make some extra cold hard cash. However, I hope that if they decide to go down this route, that they won't go too far, because not all of it should cost money. Look, I'm not against DLC to be honest. Actually, I'm a big fan of it, because it can add so much to a game. A great example of this is The Witcher 3: The Wild Hunt. The DLC packs they offer for this game are amazing and totally worth your money. Nintendo even has some good examples of this. Breath of the Wild, for example, also had quite a lot, which is worth the money in my opinion. So it can be a good thing, as long as they don't go overboard and offer something worth what they're asking for. But will this happen now that Super Mario Maker 2 is going to ruin the sales of games like New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe? Well, we can't be sure about this. There are a million ways how they could make more money, and maybe Nintendo will take the risk and release even more new Super Mario Bros. Titles, even though the Maker game is around, potentially killing sales. Or it could even be that the Deluxe game is the last one, and that it was only released because it didn't do too well on the Wii U. They saw the Switch as a great opportunity to make some extra money out of it, while also making the catalog of games for the console bigger. The more that I think about it, the more this starts to make sense. For every console they made a new entry into the series, but for the Switch, they didn't. The DS had the original, Wii U had its own version, 3DS got a version with a 2 behind it, and all of them got new content, and this goes on and on and on. So was it really their plan to milk the last new Super Mario Bros. Game before the release of the even better Super Mario Maker title? Who knows? In the end, only time will tell. Hey you there, thank you for watching this video. Be sure to click any annotations of any other pretty videos on the screen right now. Leave a like and leave a comment, because that helps me, because the algorithm is not very nice. Also, subscribe and click the bell button, because YouTube is bad at notifying all of you. Yay!